I'm looking for 2 terms. If the Lord don't call me home before that 2 terms is up, I'll be done. It's not a career for me. I'm looking to come back and watch the rest of these grandkids that have grown up and watch them get to do the things that they do. So my service to the people is what I think I can take to the table in Nashville. I've served on county commission. I was one of the 5 new that got elected in 1978, and we formed a coalition between one Democrat and the 4 new Republicans that made some changes in county government down there. So I think I'm a deal maker, and that's one reason. I have lobbied in Nashville for bills to be passed in the legislature. I understand the game down there. Can one guy go down there and do something? No. If you've heard me talk before, one guy can't do anything. The first thing you've got to do is be sure you've got 17 senators over on the other side of the hall that's going to back you before you start beating your brains out trying to get something done down there. You might get 50 lined up over here, but always remember what John Wilder said. The Senate is the Senate, and they rule the House.
Thank you, gentlemen. We got another question here.
Just a comment. After preaching the hospital in Dillon, Montana for a number of years, I went down to Denver, Colorado, and I taught in 3 different Christian schools. And my question, I guess my comment is this. The teachers' union has become a union not for the kids, but for the teachers. They become political, I think. That's my comment. A question for the mayor. Is it a state law to put your headlights on when it's raining or not?
Yes.
Well, then why doesn't the police enforce that law?
Well, they do, but it's just like everything else. They're not going to catch them all. And you know, the police department, highway patrol, sheriff's offices, whoever, as you know, they have a very hard job. And they can only catch so many. And I think they do a good job in enforcing those laws, and that's just the way it is. We're not going to catch them all.
Any other comments from the other? What he said?
What he said? Yeah, I've known law enforcement for 6 years, and I can promise you, more get away than we catch. We try to be as proactive as we can. But there's one officer on the street for about 2,000 citizens, I think, the number. I might be off on that number. You may know your chief deputy time, but you can only catch so many of them. But we do enforce them when we can.
I don't have. We got another question.
I was in security in Denver, Colorado for 15 years, carrying on the whole thing. There were laws I upheld and I enforced. I was on a cop and I was a buzz for hire, you know what I mean? And there were laws that I enforced because they were on the books.
Okay, got a question over here.
I want to ask each of you, and you to respond the way you think Lowell would. If you had been in the legislature when the Improve Act was proposed, would you have voted for or against it, and why?
I've not spoken with Lowell on this particular topic, but looking at it initially, he thought it was a good idea, but when he saw the burden that put on the state, he had a position of no on that. Again, that's one of those questions I probably can't get into a whole lot of detail on. It'd be a great one to ask him personally, because he has definitely stood the issue more than I have. I mean, his position was no on that last time I spoke with him.
You know, I really don't have a position on it, and I'm not trying to avoid the question. I hadn't talked to the leadership. I hadn't seen the entire bill, so it would be hard. I think it's sort of an unfair question because I just don't know enough about it to comment. Go ahead.
Well, it was very important legislation that increased our gas taxes.
And Governor Housel, can I interrupt you?
Yes.
Governor Housel course, Lenore City was one of the stops that he made to come and talk about it. You know, I know there's a lot of money in reserves, and I think we really need to look at those things and before we start raising taxes on anybody. But I don't know. I know what he said, and I know how some of our legislators voted. But however, and I just don't know enough about it to give you an honest answer.
Well, I'm going to kind of agree with Tony on it. I haven't dug deep enough into the act, but my general assumption in life is to oppose taxes. I don't think you can find anywhere that I've ever supported or voted for a tax increase. We had an issue come up while I was county mayor with the school system that they couldn't, we were having to stay down there overnight and move money from one account to the other. And in order to do that, in the school department, you have to get permission from Nashville to do that. Well, the schools were going home at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and me and the finance department were staying there till 8 or 8:30 until somebody from Nashville would call us back and give us authority to move that over so those checks were clear the next day. So when that came up before an issue in the budget committee, I did support that part of it as going out. But when it got out on the floor, of course, the county mayor can't vote for that. But in an approved act, I think that there was a good bill of sale that was sold to a majority of the legislators. And the one thing that I will promise you is I will not depend on the lobbyists to tell me how I need to vote. I'll guarantee you that. I will study each piece of legislation that comes through there, or it will get tabled as far as my vote goes.
You got another question here, Pat?
Okay. My question has to do with the school boards across the state, including Loudoun County. They have a powerful lobbying arm of school boards, and it's called the Tennessee School Board Association. And over the last 3 or 4 years, they have lobbied on at least 2 bills that I think are extremely important. One has to do with giving the schools taxing authority. That means that they would set their own budget, and they would also raise taxes accordingly. Some states have caps, but in the past couple of years, they have actually had it before the General Assembly. And my question would be, would you sponsor, support, or vote to give the local school boards taxing authority?
Absolutely not.
Thank you,
And
Mr. Hart.
I'm going to tell you the reason why. When our state was set up, and our Constitution that we arrived in, and it doesn't make any difference whether you like it or not, those people put a lot of thought into what we do. There's a lot of checks and balances out there. And I think that the commission, and we've had commissioners, I had some when I was on as mayor, that wished that had been shoved over to the school board and they didn't have to vote on that. And I told them just to belly up to the bar. They'd been drinking before, so we'd give them some more of it. That's not right, because although they are elected, and some of my school board friends would strongly disagree with me, they think they should have that authority, but that's a check and balance that I think we need in our state government and in our local government.
Of course, the answer for Lowell is also no. You think about the fact that you already have one government entity that you're struggling with their taxing issues. You really want a second government entity having the authority to levy a tax on. Right. The answer is a simple no. Lowell does not support that option.
And my answer too as well is no. And you know, when there was an issue came up just a short few years ago involving Loudoun County schools, and it wasn't just Loudoun County; it was throughout the state, I believe, and it was dealing with if you have liquor by the drink in your county or your town, that you was going to pay a percentage of tax to the school system. Well, Lenore City, of course, has had liquor by the drain for several years. And we have paid to the Lenore City school system ever since that law was implemented. So the county was going to come up, and you all may remember this, some of you that are from here. The county was going to come up and sue the Lenore City government because they claimed that it was because that we wasn't paying it to the school system, to the county school system. Well, that wasn't right. And of course, I met with the county school superintendent a couple of times, and we had to use political influence to get that lawsuit stopped. It never was filed, but they was going to file it, and they voted to whether or not to file it. And the only time that the only winners, and this is what I told them, the only winners when government sues government, the only losers are the taxpayers. And we prevented it. We was fortunate. We had 2 county school board members. At that time, I think it was 3. Steve Carlson might have been one of them, that worked for Lenore City government, and I encouraged them not to vote to sue Lenore City government because we was already paying the tax. So my answer is no, but it needs to be held to the governing body that's elected, and I know they're elected too, but answer is no.
The other thing that the Tennessee School Board Association did 2 years ago, and it's going to come up again, they lobbied the General Assembly. It was Senator Tracy actually that sponsored the bill, but it did make it to the floor, and that was to charge fees to inspect public records. If they came back and wanted that done, would you sponsor, support, or vote on that? Thank you.
They got to answer her first.
Was that a question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think, here's my stance on public records, and there's laws out there that takes care of it. If we do not abuse that, that's fine. But when people start abusing that part of it, why should my mother and dad, and they're both deceased now, that never wanted a public record, pay more taxes into the county so people can come down and get multiple copies of information that they probably already had, or probably already knew. So, to answer your question, it depends on the type of stuff that people are requesting. If you come in and you just need one single document, my answer would be no, it's more trouble to collect the money than it is to report it. If you come in and ask for multiple documents, day after day after day, then you should pay.
Not spoken on a whole lot on this topic, maybe 1 or 2 times, but if it's a public record, you have freedom of information, you should have to pay for freedom of information. His position would be if it's supposed to be free, it should be free and not charged.
I think you all know me, or Pat, you do, and I've been very open in Lenore City government. I let people speak, and I also, if someone comes in there and asks for records, I don't think we've turned anybody down and we've not charged for them. So my answer would be no. I would not support it.
Okay, we got time for 1 more or 2 more questions. So Bob's got one here.
Yeah, I sat here tonight thinking of a boatload of questions. But I'm just going to narrow it down to one, and it's quick. It's a yes/no answer, and you can elaborate if you want to. Do you believe that the primaries should be open primaries or closed primaries?
Are you talking about, I think I just want to verify, Bob, to make sure we're on the same page. Are you talking about as far as a Democrat coming in and voting in the Republican primary?
Exactly.
Well, if that Democrat comes in, what if that Democrat comes in and he or she wants to turn Republican and vote in the Republican primary? Is that the same thing or not?
No, if you're running for office and you're during election time, right now we have open primaries. In Tennessee, the primaries are open. Democrats are allowed to vote for Republicans. Do you want open primaries or do you want closed primaries? Because the SEC is the one that determines that, and I think they're going to come up and vote for that again here in another year or two, maybe in a few months.
We're all Americans, and I think we ought to be allowed to vote how we want. Now, if you want to vote in the Democratic primary, then you need to declare it, or vice versa. If you want to vote in the Republican primary, you need to declare it. But we're all Americans, that's our choice. And I think if we go in there to vote, we should be allowed to vote. If we're American citizens, we should be allowed to vote for who we want to.
My apologies, Bob, I will have to defer. That's not something we'll have discussed before I feel like give his full opinion on that subject. I'll just have to defer. Again, maybe come out to meet and greet and ask him.
I would be for open. I think if the guy decides that he wants to support somebody, he should be able to support it, or lady. You know, it's, I can remember, I don't know how many of y'all are here, but I can remember when the Democrats controlled the county commission, and the Republican Party had let the Democrats come over and vote and become Republicans. They wouldn't be as strong as party as they are today in Loudoun County. And I think that if you look back across the state of Tennessee, the elections have been going on for the years past. If they've been closed, the Republicans would never have had the gains that they've had over in Nashville.
Got one more question, then we're going to cut it off.
Okay. And real quick, yes or no, so all state or federal laws aside, do you support teachers paying for themselves to get qualified and be armed in the classroom?
Well, I almost have to defer that to my daughter. She's a teacher, and she is a carry permit holder. I'm not sure that that's the answer. I think some people that would go get it, but actually freeze up when they got down to the point of doing that. And I'm not sure my daughter would be one of them. I think certain people in the school system that are well trained should be able to carry it. But I don't think it ought to be just every teacher could go do it if they wanted to. I think there's a lot of strict requirements that ought to be done on that. And I think it would stop some of the stuff that's going on today. But that's a sad state of affairs when our system gets that bad, that has to be done.
Being able to speak for Lowell on this, we have discussed this topic a little bit recently. Definitely would definitely consider that an option. I don't think that's going to make, Dole said that's not the answer. It may be a part to the answer. There's many different things that need to change, as they talked about as well, getting more school resource officers in. There's many things, education of children. I mean, we've got to get our kids back. We're losing our children everywhere. We really are. Family homes are being torn apart. We need to get our families back together. There's a lot of different pieces of that puzzle. So I would not say for Lowell, answering for Lowell, that is the answer, but it can be definitely a part. But at being a law enforcement officer, I can also say that we go through rigorous training and extra training every year. We have to do our own annual in-service training. Practice, practice, practice. If you're going to be one of those people, you can't just say, you pass this, you got a ticket, now you carry a gun, you can shoot people that come to the door. You definitely have to be trained and have continuing education in those things and to be in that kind of position. Definitely, we would definitely consider an option for school safety.
Every school system is different. And if you have a school system, and we're fortunate we don't have those in Loudoun County, if you have a school system that's 50 miles away or 75 miles away, like some rural counties throughout the nation, maybe we need to look at training teachers and if they want to do that, if that particular community wants to do that. From what I've heard, teachers in this area doesn't want that. Now, I'm sure there's some out there in the system, in the Lower City school system, or the Loudoun County school system. I was in a meeting with the governor at the Lower City Elementary School. There was 6 or 7 teachers there. None of them wanted to be able to carry a gun. They felt like that they wasn't qualified to carry a gun. There was some legislation to try to get passed, and I don't know where it was at. I don't think it was passed, but to have retired police officers into the school system. I think that's an excellent idea. Not all retired police officers, because there's some that just can't do it. But there's some, and I'm going to use myself for an example. If I wasn't involved in my situation, if I wasn't involved in politics, if I wasn't the mayor, I'm a retired police officer, I think I'm good enough help. I may want to go out there and volunteer to help the school system out. But there are some, on the other hand, that I know that's older, that not as quick as there was, and I'm certainly not as quick as I was. Wasn't too quick in my early years, but I was fast. So, you know, every circumstance is different. We need to look at it. And I know that's not a yes or no, but I would want our teachers trained. When you have an active shooter in school, and a teacher runs out the door with a gun, as small as Lenore City is, as small a school system as we've got in Lenore City, we've got some police officers that don't know all the teachers in the Lenore City school system. How are you going to identify that teacher? How do you know that that teacher is not the bad guy, a bad person? So we need to be real careful before we start hiring teachers, and we need to look at every possibility before we do that. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank all of you for enlightening time. I think this format went pretty well to allow you guys to be able to work on one subject at a time. And I thank you very much for coming out. And I'm sorry, we know we had a few more questions, but we always try and keep our meeting to our time frame. Remember that we'll have a meeting next month. Diane Black will be here for that meeting, and we're looking forward to seeing all of you back for that meeting. If you have any questions on what transpired or anything about the Tea Party, or want to work with us, come see me or one of the executives that sit around the table over there, and we'll be glad to work with you and talk with you. I thank you for coming, and we'll hope to see you next time.